Sorry, guys. Players just wanted to practice longer. It's crazy how that happens. All right, guys, let's fire away.
In regards to being number one, you mentioned after the Colgate game that your message to the team was being able to handle being the top-ranked team. How have you said that? How have you seen that they've handled it so far this week in practice?
We've just practiced a few days. Probably been a few good moments and a few average moments in practice, just like any other week that you would have. I haven't. There's been nothing different in our approach. I think that we're getting prepared to play the best team we've played so far this season. They're on a roll right now, and they might have started out and dropped a game or two against good teams or on the road, and I think they've got that figured out. And they've beat really good teams lately, and they beat them handily. So we know we got our hands full with a really good Wisconsin team on Saturday. So that's 100% our focus is that.
Seem like a slower version of you guys in the sense that their experience, share the ball.
I know, Bruce, you love your comparisons, and I would say in this sense, to give you something, and I do think there's some similarities. I think they have organized set ways they move with some fluidity to them that aren't rigid, and they have different little patterns they run. That they're really good at. And, we have a different version of maybe similar stuff, and maybe we just do ours at a little different pace. But, both teams, I think have a fluidity to them that makes them hard to guard. And I really enjoyed watching them play and scouting them. I haven't played against Wisconsin. I think we did, maybe back in Maui, in 2009, which is 13, 14 years ago. So, which is cool because, if I went back and watched that game, there were probably some similarities to what they're doing then. And I'm sure they've evolved a little bit, but they definitely have a system that they're proficient at running. So, and they're really good at it, and it's fun to watch.
Does it help when you have a team like Michigan State that you just played and they just played, and then you see what they did versus you?
I don't know. I don't know, what you take from the game other than they went in and punched Michigan State in the mouth. They went in and did that. So, and we know Michigan State's a tough physical team, and, so it's impressive for Wisconsin to do what they did on the road. It says a lot about their group.
What's made Stephen Grell so efficient and effective for them, do you think?
Well, he's just a really good player. He knows how to play. He knows how to play with the ball. He knows how to play without the ball. He can score inside. Obviously, he made some threes last game. I'm sure he's a really good free throw shooter and a tough defender, and knows how to take a scouting report and try to execute it. So just a really good player. He's not a guy that I'd watch play much, but I've been really impressed.
We saw Umar take a couple of jumpers kind of from the free throw line in that last game. What do you like about that shot for him? How much have you been working?
I like it when it goes in. Has he has a nice little touch on that little floater when people drop off him a little bit, and I don't know if we're gonna live and die with that shot or shoot a bunch of them, but he's made enough of them over his career, and I know he works on them, so I'm okay with him getting a few up here and there.
That Michigan State game, we saw him on some of those straight line drives wall up and guys score over him. Is that how you want him to play that? Would you like to see him maybe in some instances be more aggressive?
I'd love to see the clips you're talking about. I know, more traditionally he's a really good defender, and he's been hard for guys to score over him. And, hey, listen, the great thing about basketball, you're not going to bat 1,000. So even really good defenders get scored on, and even great shooters miss shots. So, Umar's a guy that we trust a lot defensively, and he really has been an anchor for us the last couple of years, and we'll continue to build around that.
Funny in his commercial.
I haven't seen the commercial. I'm not getting enough time in front of the TV these days. I've got to kind of reevaluate my priorities and start watching a lot more local TV.
When you're not coaching and you don't have your coaching hat on, do you watch games as a fan, other games as a fan, or do you even have time to watch games?
Well, I watch games, but you never watch them as a fan. Your eyes are always on. They're trained maybe a little differently, and so my wife said that's what we do at night. We watch games, and games are on. We'll change from game to game, and but I'm doing other stuff too around the house and this and that. But it seems like a game's always on. So. You peek a little bit here and there, but your coaching eye is always on, and I've learned a lot of really good things in basketball that have helped me as a coach by sitting on my couch watching a game at 9 o'clock, watching somebody else do something. Because, hey, at the end of the day, every coach is somewhat of a thief. You're taken from others. So, I definitely, I enjoy that aspect of it.
How did this series get set up? Was it your side or their side?
Well, I mean, I think both sides were looking, and I know they'd reached out to us, and I think we needed a home and home that started at home this year. With us, starting to want a home and home on the road at Duke this year, so it just kind of worked out. And we want to play great programs, and to be the type of program we want to be, you've got to be comfortable playing teams like Wisconsin. And Wisconsin is a team that, when I look at them, they have all the makings of a team that's, can play deep into the tournament, and those are the type of teams we want to compete against.
I'm sure some people have already told you about the history of the Wisconsin
Yep, for sure.
in the mid 2014-15, but beyond that as well.
Yeah, I don't know much beyond that. How much longer? I need a historian like you to help me out with that. But I know there's a significance. Recent. That a lot of Arizona fans feel passionate about, and I'm sure a lot of Wisconsin fans feel passionate about. So I think that's great. It has zero impact on this game, but maybe it's fun for the fans to reminisce a little bit and kind of get their juices flowing.
So you mentioned that this coming together. I think you had said, in past how difficult it is to get home and homes, and then you said you and John Shire just chatted and that thing happened. Was it as easy with this? Or did you have a deal with
Yeah, it wasn't complicated. I know, Greg had reached out to me about something else, and it just didn't quite line up. And then, I think, TJ and, I'm sure whoever handles their scheduling on their side communicated, and TJ came to me and said, hey, it looks like, a home and home with Wisconsin can work out, and would you be interested? And I said, yeah, it sounds great. And it wasn't a lot more complicated than that. It wasn't a knockdown, drag out, or anybody chasing anybody. I think good programs want to play other good programs, and so we're excited to have the opportunity to play a really good Wisconsin team Saturday on national TV.
Talk about Caleb real quick. He's done very well to this point, and probably beyond what people thought, because they think he's the scorer. But I think he leads you in assists as well.
Yeah, Caleb is one of our better playmakers, and he's just a really good basketball player. And I know he's a really good shooter. I know maybe his 3-point numbers. People may not say that, but I've shot with him in the gym enough. I know what good shooters look like, and I pretty confident by the end of the year his shooting numbers will be pretty impressive. So. Just a really good player, but he's still learning. One of the great fun things about coaching him, this is my first season coaching him, so I'm learning him. He's learning how we play a little bit, and I'm finding things here and there that I think we can help him with, and he's been really receptive, to maybe changing some habits and some techniques here and there, and which makes it a lot of fun when you're working with a guy like that.
How important is it the rebounding that he's had? I think he's had already 3 or 4 games with 6 rebounds with you guys, and previously that wasn't a big part of his repertoire.
Well, I've really challenged him to contribute to the game in other areas, because I'm just a firm believer if you try to participate in all areas of the game, that eventually you're going to get great numbers across the board, and you're going to have a significant impact. So he's done a great job with that. I'm really happy with where he's at, and I think he's I think what. I don't know, a few games back or whenever it was, he had a 4 or 5 minute stretch where he kind of exploded. I think he'll have a few of those over the course of the season, but I'm not necessarily looking for that from him. I'm looking for him just to be a really good, experienced, all-around basketball player that just makes good decisions, possession by possession, and he's doing that for the most part.
What have you seen out of him and Kylan, really all the guards in general, in terms of the turnover numbers? It was a little bit higher in the year, now you're seeing it kind of trend down. What have you seen differently out of
Well, that's traditionally how it goes. I want our guys to be aggressive. I want them to be comfortable taking chances, but then I want them to learn what are good chances to take and what are, lesser chances, we could be successful. So you have to kind of calculate the risk. And I think our guys are getting better in that, but by no means does that mean, we're guaranteed against Wisconsin to not turn the ball over. That can happen any game, so it's something you always got to have your thumb on, and but we want to have the pedal to the metal and be aggressive, but at the same point we want to play with great fundamentals and make good decisions. So I think that's the best way to play is when you combine those two things, and I think our guys are trending in that direction.
Is some of it just in terms of Caleb and Kylan and also Jaden, just familiarity playing?
I'm sure, for sure. I'm sure that it's getting a little more experience with themselves, getting experience individually in the system, experience playing with other guys in the system, and just getting to know guys' games and getting to know, hey, there's certain mistakes you live with, and there's certain ones, you'd rather not have. And so when they kind of learn, what my, hot buttons are with that stuff, I think that helps as well. So, it's the natural progressions happen, but hey, we're still a team that wants to be trending upwards, and we're still trying to grow. And I know my approach to practice this week has been to get better and tighten things up and maybe add a layer here and there. And I think that's just what you got to do to get better over the course of a season.
I mean, are there things that you've learned as a coach from other teams you've been on that were number one that you can use to maybe take some of the pressure of that off at all?
I mean, listen, it's not much more complicated than coming out and playing really hard, playing with great passion, playing together, and I don't think you need a ranking to do that. So I don't think there's anything crazy. I mean, we don't sit around and we haven't talked about it. We don't have a banner hanging up in the locker room or anything like that, because I know this. We could get our butts kicked on Saturday and still have a great season. That's how these seasons go. So we're the only stock we're putting in is we want to come out and play. We're hoping to play a good 40 minutes on Saturday, and anything beyond that, I mean, we really haven't thought too far ahead.
You have talked a lot about that, and you knew though after Saturday you'd probably be number one. Now that happened, did you spend any more time talking about that with the guys this week?
I haven't mentioned it once. I'll let you guys do that. You guys can be the leaders on that stuff. We haven't talked about it once. Talked about getting better, having a good practice.
Yeah, and then I guess what I'm wondering too, like, okay, you're trying to trend upward, et cetera. Is that get harder for you to tell the guys that you want to do that at a time when you're getting ranked number one and everybody's telling you how great you are?
It's not harder for me. I mean, listen, the outside noise is outside. That's always the case. Good, bad, average. It's always on the outside. So on the inside, we have a strong culture and a belief in the things we do, and we just try to get better at that stuff. And so, everybody telling you how good or how bad you are has no impact on what's happening inside our locker room.
I understand you have a connection with Aaron Tack, the javelin thrower, joined the women's team.
I mean, yeah, we're from the same small town.
So I don't know. I was just
I mean,
wondering if you could-
Erin. I know her a little bit. I know her parents. Incredibly nice people. She's the same class as my nephew. Who's a manager for us here. And I saw Erin when she was young. We used to have a 3-on-3 tournament in Spokane called Hoop Fest, and she came over and played on my nephew's team. Her and Carter played together. So, I saw her when she was younger, and she was a good basketball player. I mean, she's, strong and aggressive, and, yeah, she used to beat up on the boys. So, yeah, I saw that she's on the team here. I haven't seen her at practice or anything yet, but yeah, but she'll yeah, she's a Kelso girl. She'll give good effort. I know that.
All right, anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, sorry for making you guys wait.